I'd like to call this meeting to order. And we have minutes from both the 26th of July and the 23rd of August to approve. Do we hear a motion to approve these minutes? Let's one at a time. The 26th of July as circulated.
I so move.
Thank you. Well, Byron and Liz. On the 26th of July, and there were revised minutes from the June. We approved that. 26th of July, any changes needed in that?
No.
Do I hear a motion? I've heard a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please put your hand up and say aye. Or
Aye.
no? No abstentions? No, okay. Then the 23rd of July, which was our special meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve these?
I'll make a motion for the
Thank
August 23rd.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Liz. Any corrections? Ready to vote on it? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes of August 23rd, put your hand up, say aye.
Aye.
No abstentions, no protection. Okay. Resident and citizen participations. Christine said she was leaving a computer in the community room at Melrose, so that if somebody is there, they could join this meeting and be community participation for us. Nobody on your screen, Christine?
Nobody has attended. And we do open it up. We do post it in the newspaper at all of our housing sites, on our Facebook page and on our website as well, that people could attend via Zoom as well.
Great. COVID-19 updates. Christine, that will be you.
Okay. We are continuing to reference the guidance given by the state of Vermont on a regular basis. We are encouraging staff to be vaccinated. We are wearing masks in the presence of others at all times, whether we're in the office, whether we're vaccinated or not. And of course, when we're in all apartments or common areas. Staff is no longer able to eat with one another, so we can't celebrate events together at this point. Residents are asked to wear masks or go into different areas when we enter apartments. We are now completing emergency work orders at this time only. We've gone back to only emergency work orders. Okay. We are contact tracing everyone that we come into contact with, community members and residents. And we are following all state guidelines around testing, quarantine, isolation when exposed to the virus.
Sounds complete. Alas. How are the spirits about this change?
I think it's frustrating for many people with younger children because they're unable to get vaccinated, and we're finding that a lot of several of our employees have, and many of our residents, their classrooms have been closed off and on, and so I think it's hard to get momentum when things change every day. Right now, we have a few staff members who have children who need, whose classrooms have been closed. So it's hard to go back and forth. I think a lot of people, we're trying to give people the option of remoting into work as much as possible if their job makes that, if that's an option, but for some it's not.
Okay. Well, they did say that perhaps it was going to rise here in the Northeast before it goes down again. So we'll see. We're ready to move on to review fair market rent for 2022. It's in your packet.
I thought it looked fine to me.
Yes. Negligible change from HUD's 20 compared to ours 2021. So Do I hear a motion to approve this if there are no further questions?
I'll make a motion. to approve it.
I think Byron has a question.
Oh, sorry, Byron.
That's okay. I just wondered, did we ever get a draft from HUD for review?
Did we ever get a what? I'm sorry.
A draft of the fair market rent, proposed fair market rent? For
No.
review?
Yeah. No, these are, so HUD gives us, they give us what they say is our fair market rent, and we're able to go up from that. We're able to deviate that by 10%,
Yeah.
either up or down. And so they send us these numbers are based on numbers that they have taken from community
Yeah.
areas, and then they're allow those give and take. But we haven't been able to negotiate what the fair market rent is. And what makes it really challenging is even if we were able to go up more for our fair market rent, let's say we were able to put it at, as a much higher amount, we only have a certain amount of money to allocate. And right now we already have people who have our vouchers. And so if we change the fair market rent for them, then it would go up across the board and we would see a considerable change.
Yeah.
So when we were looking at these numbers, David and I actually looked at what 10% would look like. And we found that if we raised it by 10%, we would be looking at approximately changing our subsidy about $7,300 a month, which would come out to $87,600 at the end of the year, which would really put us in a shortfall for our subsidies.
My only question was, I mean, they usually send out draft of the proposed new fair market rents. I wondered if those came to us. But
I'm assuming that they did, and I can look into it. David is the one who put this information together. He receives that, but I can certainly look in and see if this is the draft or if this is the actual amount.
I take it it's the actual amount.
My understanding, Christine, if I'm right, is that in proposing this has been David's working, comparing it with our 2021 fair market rent. And this is a 21-22 fair market comparison. And it's what David is recommending based on HUD's figures.
Yes, it's based on HUD's figures. So it's for the year 2022 for the calendar year. And it is based on HUD's figures, but it's also based on the number of vouchers that we have right now in the community, and also that we have project-based. So for this year, we weren't spending all of our Section 8 money or funds because we had to allocate 18 to be project-based vouchers at Red Clover Commons too. And so with adding those additional 18, we're really going to have to keep an eye on this every month to make sure that we don't go over our allowable total. And so I think that we're erring on the side of caution.
My guess is, Byron, were you just trying to see the comparison between what Brattleboro Housing Partnerships was suggesting and what HUD was suggesting?
No, it was just a question of whether they had sent our organization their proposal for these figures. But in any case, it sounds like, as usual, Christine is very on top of things. So thank you.
Well, I'm not sure. I will definitely double check on when the draft numbers came out and see if there was any wiggle room with that. And I can reach out to Heather, who is our HUD field rep, and ask her.
That's okay.
Are we ready to vote on these fair market rents? I believe we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
That's me.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Put your hand up.
Aye.
Opposed? No. No abstentions. Okay. These are approved as circulated by David, who has gone through them. The strategic planning process that was we were involved in on the SWOT analysis on the 20th of September, and the staff has done one already on the 14th of September, and another one coming up tomorrow, Tuesday, September 28th. Wonder if you've had a chance to look at the draft in your packet.
I did. I just gotta find it.
It's blue.
It's blue. Yes, it's blue.
I thought she did a really good job of
Right in front of me.
taking our ideas and putting them right, to print, so to speak, that we could all see it. So it was just like being in a classroom or being live where, she was writing down our ideas as we had them. That was really helpful doing it that way.
Yes, and the key questions, the overarching questions. Where is BHP succeeding, falling short? What are the opportunities in the coming 5 years? What goals and strategic directions should we pursue? How should we approach the goals and strategy? And what opportunities exist for Brattleboro Housing Partnership to lead in the community and state? They really are good overarching questions.
I'll look forward to the overall report after all groups have been surveyed.
My understanding is that we will come back to review the the draft plan, October, complete stakeholder interviews, conduct resident surveys, identify goals and strategic approach, and develop actions. So by November, we should have a draft plan which we can revise and present.
It'll be good.
And we'll also have a strategic, so this was the initial meeting to get ideas and to really sort of start brainstorming.
Right.
And then also I believe we'll be coming back, the commissioners and some staff members, about strategic directions discussion. So that will be
that's right.
Before we'll have the draft of the plan. And that will
Okay,
be in October.
I was just looking at that. It's on the second page. You have the Resident Advisory Communications Commission and then strategic direction discussions between commissioner and staff. So very, very helpful.
And she's
And
just
you're-
begun to discuss with key stakeholders. So we have a pretty good list of community stakeholders, including, and everyone has agreed to participate.
Great.
So that's great.
Lenny Howard, Chief of the Brattleboro Fire Department. That's very helpful. And Claudia McCarthy, I've worked with as Senior Solutions Case Managers. Rita Worthington, I don't know. She's the Director of Asset Management at Evernorth. Any?
I know Chloe Leary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any further comments?
No, I thought this was excellent.
Great.
I have one question, which I probably should know the answer to. What is SWOT analysis? SWOT.
Strengths,
Yeah.
weaknesses, opportunities, and problems.
Say again?
The words strengths is the S, weaknesses is the
Oh.
W, opportunities, and I think it's problems, or is there
It's threats.
threats?
Threats.
Of course,
Okay.
it's a T.
Thank you.
It's not swap, it's SWOT.
Thank you for asking the question, Byron.
Yes. Okay. large projects in progress. And the FEMA PDMA.
I think we're, I apologize, some of these are a little out of order. So Chris Hart has put in a report, but I can go off of some of that. So we are in the process, so starting with the FEMA PDMA. So we have begun the work at Melrose Terrace, and Zaluzny Construction has begun the work, and we've begun the work to take down many of the beautiful trees that we have on this property. So it is very sad. I think many of us are a little heartbroken over that. And so many of this is because it's either where we'll be doing the construction or where we'll be putting in the new sewer lines. And so they went through the property and were very careful to only tag the trees that we knew that we needed to remove. And so they've started that process.
Weren't they also planning to lower the level of the land?
Yes, we'll be lowering the level of the brook and widening it.
Yes, both the brook, but also the land
And some
adjacent
of
to
those
the brook.
yes.
Because you couldn't keep the trees if you changed the contour of the land.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the work is begun, and we are definitely in motion. So there's lots going on at Melrose. And in terms of the relocation, we're in a great spot. So far, we have already moved 11 households. So
11 out of 18?
11 out of 18.
Wow.
And so we will have 5 in October, and then we will have 2 apartments, which we will be housing people from the wait list.
Great.
And then we have 1 resident that will be moving to Hayes Court. And so as of the end of October, first week of November, we will no longer have residents in Melrose.
Wow.
Yeah. And it has been quite an operation. I'll be honest. It has been a lot. And so we have a really amazing support staff who have been working really tirelessly with residents, even on the weekends, to make sure that people have everything they need. And it has gone relatively smoothly. There are a few issues in the building still. We don't have laundry set up there. So we are trying to decide if it makes the most sense to bring washing machines from a different site there temporarily, or if we have residents use the facilities at Red Clover Commons 1. And so we might give people the option of either of those.
Thinking of that latter option of using the laundry machines at Red Clover 1, how are the residents interacting, supporting each other or not between Red Clover 1 and 2?
I think, it's new. And so I think that the residents at Red Clover Commons, the new Red Clover Commons are, they're in a transition. So it's hard. I think we've had some reports that they're feeling very welcomed. We have some reports that people are making sure that they are following all the rules. And so, and there are really concerns at Red Clover already about the laundry. We have residents who don't really like people from other floors going to their floor to use the laundry. And so we're really hesitant to have that be an option. So we're really looking into moving some laundry equipment from maybe Melrose there temporarily. We were waiting to see how long it would be because we couldn't get a definitive timeline. I think we should have the machines there within 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll probably bring something over sooner than that.
Okay.
We won't be able to charge for some time because the card machine is the thing that's really on back order. There's just, they aren't available, I guess. So
it's another supply chain issue.
It is a supply issue for sure. Yeah. But we have but we've been maintaining the laundry here, and we have Dampier that comes on a regular basis to check them, and they seem like they're in good shape. So I think for a short-term solution, I think bringing them over would be a good idea.
Okay. The ribbon cutting is scheduled for either. Excuse me, Byron. Any questions?
I just wanted to say I hope that if my wife and I have to move, you'll send your crew.
They are really amazing. We have some really great staff. I have to say that their relationship with residents and fostering those relationships over time has really helped in this situation. They have done an amazing job. I'm really impressed by it. And it's been all hands on deck and everybody has been very helpful. So it's been great. And to answer your question, I actually have confirmed the date. So it will be October 29th at 1:00 will be the ribbon
Okay.
cutting.
Okay.
Said October 29th
Yes.
Mhm. At 1:00,
will be the what?
ribbon cutting for
Ribbon cutting.
Red Clover 2. Does that mean the same person who dug up the foundation for Red Clover 1 is going to be there?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Our co-owners, Evernorth, are really spearheading this. We're working together, but they're the ones who
Okay.
are taking the lead. And so we just confirmed the date. And so I think they're sending out save the dates. And I just wanted to make sure you knew and our staff knows, and
Thank
then
you.
we'll be sending out formal invitations.
Wonderful. So we are, so strategic planning was further down, but because it was where it was in the staff and I went with it. I'm sorry.
No, you're
Um,
fine. You're fine. We had a lot of items in the packet this month. So things.
So moving to Brattleboro housing opportunities, moving to work. The ACC, the accommodations, I forget what the ACC means.
Now I'm gonna have to wait.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
okay. I will look it up in 1 second. But yes, it has been approved officially.
What we approved and signed in August.
Yes.
August 23rd has been approved. Key stakeholder meetings from strategic planning will be used for the Brattleboro housing opportunities. And the community advisory committee will need to reconvene and we will be invited to attend. Did any of you attend the community advisory board for moving to work 3 years ago? Was that about right?
I attended some of those meetings. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't think Byron was on the board yet, and I certainly know that Alicia, who let us know that she couldn't come to the meeting today. So that we will need to reconvene that, and board members will be invited to attend.
Excuse me, but I'm missing where the date is.
There's no date yet.
We haven't set it yet. Jeanette is working on the list of participants and we'll be sending out an invitation.
Okay.
Email.
Good. Okay, staff reports review, property review, and
before
property management report. Sorry, go
We
ahead.
move on. ACC annual contributions contract. That's
Thank
something I
you.
should have tattooed on my wrist. I say.
Well, in the past, we have done a dictionary for all of the acronyms, and probably wouldn't hurt just to reinstitute that every once in a
I
while.
will. I will add that to the list.
Good. Okay. We'll move on from blue to pink, the property management review. I'm
So when it-
delighted to, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Donna.
When it says 3 Red Clover units vacant, is that Red Clover 1?
Yes.
Okay.
And so how it works. So we don't hold the wait list for that building. Vermont State Housing Authority holds the wait list. When people apply to live at Red Clover Commons 1, they apply for a voucher through Vermont State Housing. They hold all of the vouchers for that building. And so they hold the wait list. And so when we have vacancies available, they send us a list of like a short list, maybe of a few people. And then we follow up with our application process for those folks. So it's it's not a streamlined process in-house, which all of our other programs are. And so we really rely on them to give us that information. And we have been, like everybody, people are short-staffed and there are longer wait times than normal.
Is that how Red Clover 2 will go, Chris, as well?
No, we have the project-based vouchers for that building. So we have a certain number of Section 8 vouchers and we can project-base 20% of them. And so we are given, so HUD has allocated us, and I actually figured this out before the meeting because I had a feeling we might talk about it. So HUD allocates for us 212 vouchers. And we can only project base 20% of them. So project base means that a voucher is specifically tied to a unit. So like if we were to open a new building and we wanted to put a voucher there, we would need to project base them. And so right now we have vouchers at our building at Red Clover Commons. We have, Red Clover Commons 2. We have vouchers at the upper story, at the snow block, and we have a few more vouchers at one other housing sites that we've given to another Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust for upper story and for the snow block. And and A.W. Richards, I'm sorry. So after that, once we're done with this, we will only have 8 vouchers left that we could potentially project base if we want to. So it's something for us. The reason I'm pointing this out is it's something for us to think about as we go forward. If we were to develop a property and we needed a voucher, we would either need to, again, receive vouchers from somebody like Vermont State Housing, or we would use our 8 vouchers, but that's all we have left.
And the difference, I understand, is that a non-project-based voucher goes with the person receiving it.
Yes.
Who can take it anywhere not just into the community, but into this country.
Mm-hmm.
You have vouchers porting in and vouchers porting out. Project-based vouchers, you can change people, but the voucher goes with the property.
Yes. And our Rad vouchers, which are also Section 8 vouchers, those are separate. So these are the Rad vouchers are just our separate vouchers. For our Section 8 program, we have 212, and most of them are in community settings.
Which of course is difficult in this community because there's so little to choose from. This is why we've had so many people searching.
Yes.
And not finding housing.
So did that answer your question, Donna? It is a little complicated.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
So we manage Brattleboro Housing Partnerships, and we have a small bit of ownership. And you might have, if you got a chance to look at the audit, you might have seen sort of what the breakdown is. We have a very small ownership, but we have a contract to manage Red Clover Commons. And so, but we don't hold the actual vouchers themselves. Those are held by Vermont State Housing. So it's a partnership.
For those involved in strategic planning, that's one reason we changed the name from Brattleboro Housing Authority to Brattleboro Housing Partnership. And you can see how that strategic planning has worked out in practice, because it's changed. It represents the change in the way we've been doing business. Any more comment on the property management? Ready to move on to wellness services?
I couldn't help but notice there was a lot of mention to, August, we're kind of like, getting a breath of fresh air kind of thing and reaching out and going to do these new things, and now we're like locked back down again, So
Yes, right.
I'm sure it's a whirlwind for those that have to deal with that.
It is really hard. We are starting some programming still. We have some, the Tai Chi and the exercise programming. We are doing RCC. We're asking people to wear masks. We've stopped. We were doing inside like coffee hours, and we have had to stop those, and we only do them outside now.
Well, I have a client who has recently been in the Morningside shelter here, and they have had somebody come in with active COVID. Fortunately, my client left just before that person came in, but I really had a sense of how vulnerable people now feel.
Right.
And so, how is the Employment and Education Coordinator, Amy Pandolfi, working? Because this was
She's doing great. She really is acclimating well. She's looking at this program in such a from a lens of really seeing possibility.
Okay.
And she's really reaching out. She's done a lot of it's like she works very like with a formula. She has a process. And so she's been doing a lot of research. She's been working with David. She's been doing a lot of trainings. She's going to do a FSS training, I think this week. She completed Bridges Out of Poverty training, which is a great training that we try to have every staff member attend.
Great.
And she's really starting to work with residents and really starting to engage with partners. And so she really is very forward thinking around how to get these resources to our residents.
Has the name changed how people's engagement with it?
I'm not sure. I think it helps people to understand it a little bit more. And I think that it's not, while life skills are an important part of it, it's really the main focus from HUD is around education and employment, and life skills are sort of a secondary. And I think that family self-sufficiency made it sound like it was primarily a life skills program.
Okay. Any questions?
Right.
All those services are great.
Right, Byron?
Can I go back to, you say that programming has stopped at the family sites as kids start back to school. I'm wondering if we have experience with or considered getting students like from the high school to do homework help at Ledgewood Heights, or?
Well, that's a great idea. We haven't actually offered anything like that, but I think it's a very good idea. I'll definitely put it on the resident service radar and see if that's something they can try to set up with volunteers, or at least connecting kids, maybe to even kids at the high school. I don't know if there's any programming there as well, but we could certainly look into that.
I could take a first stab at the high school if you wanted.
Well, I think what we would probably try to do is to see if there's an identified need in our community. Like if kids, if anybody is identifying that. I don't know how comfortable people are right now with interactions one-on-one. I mean, we would have to have it set up so that people wear masks and et cetera. But I think if we could certainly put it out to the community and see if anybody's looking for some sort of support around that.
Great.
I just want to note that there was a wonderful article which you copied for us on the Commons celebrating 10 years of SASH.
That's fantastic. Yes. Yeah.
I think,
excuse me, I'm sorry. Is there any progress on the SASH for all focus?
We haven't heard yet. We haven't heard that so we had put in a application with Bernie Sanders for an earmark, and we haven't been denied yet. They've asked for a lot of additional information. And so we're still keeping our fingers crossed, and we're still meeting as a group to continuing the planning process to see if that's a possibility. We certainly hope. It would be great. Yeah.
And talking about vouchers, the sort of thing, the monthly program updates for shelter, Section 8, shelter plus care and transitions to housing. How are we doing on adding to the mainstream vouchers? The assistance paid on behalf of a participant who chooses a unit with a private landlord, non-elderly with a disabled household member under 62. I know we had tried to transition some other people from other vouchers to that.
We have been able to move some people who are on our shelter plus care program onto that program. And so we have,
Right.
I want to say a handful. I don't know if David's wrote exactly, but I know that we now have 154 people with vouchers, including, so that's great. We do have we have a lot of people searching. So we have 8 people that are searching with the mainstream vouchers. And we have 3 people that are searching with shelter plus care. We have 2 people who are searching with housing choice vouchers. So we have a total right now of 15 people searching in our community, with really, some people have been searching for almost a year.
Yeah.
So the housing stock is extremely limited. Where we are successful will be if an apartment becomes available at one of the other affordable housing sites through Wyndham Windsor or Adair Heights. But we're really not seeing a lot of movement. And I think that this is really, when we talk about identifying threats, I think this is the biggest threat right now. Many landlords who have shelter, who have housed people with vouchers, are now selling apartment buildings. And so we've had very long relationships with some landlords for a long time, but I think right now people are feeling like they just want to get out of the business of being a landlord. And so we're really, I think this is something for the board to really always think about and keep in the forefront as we decide and as we plan going forward. But this is definitely a big concern for our community.
I don't know where it might be appropriate to talk about it, but the proposals for housing on the former deaf school property, and I think one other that were discussed in Reformer. We're not partners, and yet we certainly have a lot to offer people who are trying to plan that kind of housing.
Absolutely. And Chloe is on our strategic planning. She's part of that process. And I have seen the presentation myself. It sounds great. And so I think, again, whatever we plan to do going forward, whether it's, in any development piece, I think we would engage the community the same way that Winston Prouty is engaging the community right now.
Winston Prouty, sorry. Good. So the monthly check listing, Byron, you're ready to sign checks in October?
Yep.
And November, Liz?
October 1st is a Friday. Whose is that?
I think it's yours.
Okay.
I told Billy Joe that you were up next, Byron, so she should be emailing you.
Good.
Okay.
And
we
Liz,
actually already did the landlord checks ahead of time. So she did it because David's off this week on vacation, and we knew that a new commissioner would be starting on the Friday. So we did them last week.
Great. And Liz, you're in November, except that I will cover you on the 12th,
Yes, that's right.
and I'm doing December. So,
And I'd be glad to take a day in December to make up for the 12th.
well, having just heard from a cousin who's out in New Mexico, I may say I'll try to go into New York and see them when they combine. We'll see.
Absolutely. Just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Review the green monthly check listing, but more than that, the review June, July, and August comparatives and the audit. I'm going to ask you, Christine, if you would lead us through that.
So if we wanted to look at I think that, so these are for 3 months. So I think it makes the most sense to look at the most recent, which would be August.
Mhm.
And in looking at the numbers, and looking at the information, we actually are doing pretty well considering the situation with COVID, and we have been having a hard time collecting some rents. But overall, I think it's helped that we've been able to get some of the rents recouped, and we've been so overall we're doing okay. I think that we look good for this year so far. If you look at the columns of where we are year to date, I think that we're in a good place, especially if you go down to maintenance and you look at contract costs. We're below what we have allocated so far for the year, and so this includes sort of late season bad weather, when we had some not great weather in April. And so I think that that's good. But I think one thing to be aware of is that we are still down a staff member or two. So we have hired a maintenance person. So we have 5 currently. We're looking to hire another. So we have been contracting out a lot of work for grounds and cleaning and things like that. We are still in the process of hiring somebody for the maintenance team. We're also still in the process of looking for an admin support person that could be almost like an assistant property management to help with inspections and things like that as well. And so we're in a good place, but we still have some openings as well.
Did the change in offered pay and benefits make a difference as you were hiring people?
It did. It really made a big difference with the maintenance team. So I think that was really helpful.
Commissioners need to know that what they've been doing has made a difference.
Yes,
so I wanted to highlight that.
I think so. And we're trying really hard. I have to say, we had a little bit of turnover, let's say, I think at the end of the last, in the spring, so the beginning of our fiscal year, and when we left hazard pay. But, since then, we've been really trying to motivate staff, like with intrinsic motivations. We don't have monies, but we've been trying to, make sure that people feel supported when they are having difficult times at home or when their kids need to be home. And so I think that we've done an excellent job supporting the staff overall. And I don't hear a lot of grumblings anymore. I feel like people are really feeling very supported. So it's good. And a lot of people have expressed through the strategic planning that it's a really nice place to work. We don't really have a lot of negativity right now. I feel like people have been very positive, and staff has really said that they feel really supported. So I think that's great. And I feel like, it's like with everything, like we are trying to keep our residents housed. So we don't have a lot of options to house new people, but we're trying to keep the people housed that we have. And it's the same with staff. We don't have a lot of options to give them extras, but we can make them feel supported and make sure that they feel like they enjoy coming to work.
Do they still have options as far as virtual attendance rather than being in the office, depending on what their jobs are?
Yes. So some people work remotely a couple of days a week, or when they here and there. We have a few staff today working remotely because they had childcare issues. So we do have those options. which is great. And I think it
Yeah.
helps me out as well. Sometimes it's easier for me to work from home. If I have a doctor's appointment in the middle of the day, I'd rather take it at home. So I think, I'll choose to work the afternoon at home. And I think it helps a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
Questions, thoughts from commissioners?
I was thinking that it might make sense if we have time next month, if you thought it would be appropriate. So next month would be the halfway point of our fiscal year. If we thought it would be helpful to have James come and talk at all about anything, or if you guys had any additional questions.
For me, it would certainly be a help. Byron, I know that you are very good in working with financial issues. Anything that's come up for you around these audits, and indeed Donna as well.
I didn't see anything that stood out. I thought everything was very well organized. And yeah, I mean, like Christine says, the figures looked really good as of the end of August.
I'm always glad to hear, what anybody has to say on this, but I thought it was all very well presented and very clear.
Yes.
I think it would be helpful to have, as we were talking, and I think once we formulate the strategic plan, it might be helpful, but I was thinking that would be an area, if James met with myself and Billy Joe and commissioners, maybe once a month, once every quarter, that might be helpful, but at least bringing him to these meetings, at least biannually. So at the halfway point and then at the end of the fiscal year.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that's
So-
a good idea.
So in November, we'll count on James being at this meeting, either virtually or, well, we'll all be virtual, I think, still. And so that's where another place where this is such a virtue in being able to bring people in from a distance rather than having all of us to be in the same place. Although I must say I miss seeing commissioners in person.
Did you have a question, Byron?
No, I just would comment that the auditors seem to find us very reputable.
I think Christine has worked very hard to see that is true.
That's right.
Because we've had changes in financial management over the last few years, and the arrangement of going with the firm that you proposed really has made a difference.
For me, it feels like night and day. It feels great.
Wonderful.
It's being able to look at these numbers and dive in and see where we're at. And Billy Joe has done an amazing job on her end as well. So
Great.
it took a while, but we got there. So.
Mhm.
And what I thought was really helpful around the audits, I thought would be helpful for you, especially with the AWR and RCC, is it breaks down a little bit more, and it's complicated. I mean, it's a lot,
Yes.
but it breaks down a little bit more how these two properties are tax credit properties. They're a little different than our other properties.
Mhm.
And so where the ownership is, sort of what our roles are. And so I thought that was helpful. And so we'll have to do the same thing for RCC too, because that as well is a tax credit property.
Mhm. Well, the whole process of expanding development is quite a challenge. Okay. If there's no further business to propose, I will be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Liz.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Donna. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for a good meeting.